Good morning, friends. So I'm getting ready for my round 3 against Geist, aka Legislat, in Good On Ya Mate, the current MWS event. We are on this novella map with the strategy plan explosives, corner deployment, and our schemes are let them bleed, deathbeds, espionage, sweating bullets, and take prisoner. My mental's in a pretty bad space this morning, so I may not go in as depth as I would otherwise. I'm probably just going to get into the game and try to have a little bit of fun and try to achieve 1 or 2 goals. But Legislat is a solid player, and I don't really have a plan that I'm super excited about into what he has going on today. So if we take a look at the map, I've previously discussed this in some text posts over on the Pack Mentality Discord. I highly recommend joining if you have not already. But this map sort of encourages the flow of movement in sort of lanes around the outside and then through the center by the placement of these large impassable blocking buildings. It's also just sort of a field day for impassable terrain. Like, there's a huge variety of places that Lucius 2 can secret passage to and be highly effective. So, it's a very interesting map. I actually really like this map, but it does pose some particular challenges into this matchup. As you can probably see, I've declared Syndicate. My opponent has declared Elite Mimic. I'm on Anya 1. He is on 2. I have brought a pair of botanists and a bunch of keyword stuff and the Damned. We'll see how that works out. The Damned is, I think, going to be food if I let White Eyes interact with it. So probably my goal here is to move to the opposite side of the map. We've got the Pale Rider present, so the armor I'm bringing on 3 models, including a model that really doesn't want to be damaged by enemy actions in order to maintain her negative flip forgettable ability. Those all crumble there. Winston really wants people to take flips at him as opposed to doing Rider Bomb stuff. So, one of my questions here is if I get an opportunity, can I go on and kill the Rider in the bottom of round 1, very top of round 2? And I do want to talk about that because I think Legislat's too good of a player to allow me to do that, but that may be my out. Certainly stunning it can delay the bomb a little bit. With the Steward here, it only does so much. He's got the condition removal. His list, I would say, pretty standard at this point. White Eyes and Lucius 2 both have Leadline Coat. Let's actually shift over to the Malifaux Crew Builder app and take a look at the lists. So dishonorable, legalese flipping, annoying to hit without resources due to flexible morality, superiority complex, making it even more annoying because using focus to get around it is particularly silly. He has a 2/3/5 that can not trivially, at the cost of a stone, be a 3/4/6, and with the card can be a 4/5/7, with a plus on the damage flip, which means he can pretty reliably get effective damage 6 and can sometimes spike effective damage 7 with the right ram in hand. That means that most of my crew is made up of things that don't die to a single flip of 7. He does have cleaning up loose ends, which is which gets rid of Anya's only one of her 2 defensive techs. I've not brought any models that give her anything external, but she does also have the ability to put hazardous under herself, which I would classify against Lucius as kind of a defensive tech. It forces him to attempt to down the wrong path her instead of charging her, and at the very least that means he's only probably going to get 1 or 2 swings off. She's stat 6, he's stat 7, so if he has the cards in hand, which he can certainly get via Guild Lawyer Building Surgeon to draw a card, as well as the pair of legalese upgrades flipping each turn, he's going to give me some trouble. So I need to play a little bit cagey, try and find routes for my master to get effect without dying on the immediate crackback. I don't think that's going to go very well for me, but we'll see how. He's got Wide Eyes. Wide Eyes with Leadline Coat in Guild is unkillable. That's not entirely true. You just have to plink him a bunch. He is not immune to Hazardous, but he has Laugh Off, so the ability to actually capitalize on Hazardous is pretty weak. That said, putting a scheme under him, pushing a geode into him, is going to mean that he takes like 4 damage basically, because he'll have to a natural speed out. Yes, when he had natural speeds, he will get to mid to kill, but I think I'm just in a position where I need to avoid the center, play really cagey around the sides, and see what I can do there. The question though is, do I push all up one side, or do I go up? But try to split my forces and go up both, and I don't really know. I think I need to split my forces to some extent, so we'll talk about that in a moment. The other thing the thing he has brought that is a little bit, I think it might be unusual, it might not be, is the Undercover Reporter. Generally a very solid model. Notably, Confusion in the Ranks doesn't really do anything outside of the journalist keyword, so he is looking to pop out with Undercover kind of ASAP. I brought 2 botanists, so his only targets have planted roots, so he will be popping out adjacent to a botanist at some point. He has no other choices until they're dead, which he may kill them first, but that's probably going to mean he doesn't get to do anything for a turn or 2. But what the Undercover Reporter brings that's really strong is follow lead. Discarding a ski marker as a cost is great, and he's got Arson, which also kills a ski marker as a cost, and with a Tome, kills it anywhere on the board. There are a pretty substantial number of schemes in this pool, like Espionage and Deathbeds, that you need to have markers out for, and he makes that very difficult. The other thing that's pretty difficult here is his crew is well constructed to handle the other schemes. Sweating Bullets, he has only 1 master henchman, so he just doesn't send Lucius to mid. That's rough. Take Prisoner, highly doable. Depending on, at least for the first point. Let Them Bleed, very tough, because his 2 highest models are the Rider, and he has healing on the Steward, and the Rider is not easy to kill. I mean, if we take a look at the Rider, he is 6/7. That on its own is pretty good, and he has that Forged of War defensive trigger when resolving pseudo armor. So it's not like I'm going to be able to kill it very easily. Lots of choices for Take Prisoner. I think I can guarantee the first point on Take Prisoner just by taking it, but I don't know that I ever get the second point, because the only thing he's going to push across the board into my zone are going to be things with Laugh Off, unless he pops Undercover Reporter out, which, there maybe is a play here on the Undercover Reporter, but the Undercover Reporter is quite mobile. It's effectively got... it's got Deadly Pursuit, move 5, bonus action to move 6. So I don't know that I can particularly reliably score that. Ultimately, I think there's he's done a good job making sure there are no good schemes. Espionage is right out. I honestly think it's probably Take Prisoner and Deathbeds, as much as I hate that. My other choice is Let Them Bleed and hope I can just outpunch him, but I just don't think that's true against the Rider and Lucius 2. He's effectively got 4 really killy models in his crew, and unlike most of Guild, the Elite Mimic crew doesn't really have a problem with target selection. Lucius can get where he wants to go. Pale Rider is a model that can get where it needs to go between Ride With Me, move 7, range 12 on a reasonable gun. And the ability to take the stand into a number of potent models that have on your heels, that can use on the case to reposition, that can use Called Out. to get some extra shots, or that can, more healing here off of Twisting Mist. It's really, really tough to only give Lucius the Elite Mimic crew the targets you want to give them. So I'm not super jazzed about that into this matchup. So let's just take a look at the map and talk a little bit about strategy and how I want to go. So given everything we've talked about, we want to make sure we proceed in directions where line of fire is broken up. Notably, the line of fire for this map through the center is like completely unbroken here to here, right? You sort of got a kill box effect, and from top left in particular, your line of fire is even more unbroken, especially with a model that is not size 1 or not size 2 and can see over this while being in its shadow. Like, you've got all sorts of options. So it seems to me that it behooves me at least a little bit to pivot and try and fight in a place that has more line of sight blocking. Down here, we're relying on unimpeded, and down here is less appealing because you are sort of guaranteed to be in range of blocking terrain. The Lucius crew does not particularly like severe terrain. Obviously, the rider doesn't care very much, but the rest of his crew doesn't really have ways around it the way you do in other keywords. So if he runs down this way, this puddle is sort of annoying to him, but at the end of the day, that's probably it. That suggests to me that what I should do is consider sort of baiting or annoying by threatening in this direction, right? Threatening to move this direction. And then, have a token model go here, maybe go there and slam to clear the injured, just as like I'm doing the thing, I'm going this way, and then actually send the majority of my forces up in this direction. And once again, I think that there's that extra value in slamming the destructible terrain against Lucius. I don't really have other ways to get around that, but if the damned leaps up there, walks, slams, focus is good against Lucius himself, and it's good against the rider. It's actually good against his whole crew except for like Wide Eyes. I do expect his Wide Eyes to end up over here. My solution to Wide Eyes is a big question mark at the moment. Without the ability to force movement or really heavy hitting stuff, it's a little tough. I don't have my only min 3 here is Anya on her ability, so maybe there's a chance that I get something off with that, with Anya plinking him a couple times with Siphon Life built in. The Damned would normally be pretty reasonable, but again, the fact that there's nothing that gets around his permanent hard to wound and you can build an armor on guild makes that model a really tough shift. My opponent's not going to misplay him, so I think it's a little rough. Now, he does have lower base stats, so anything I have that can apply slow or stunned in particular, is going to be very, very valuable here. Not because he needs his triggers, but because he really wants to take his bonus. He'll probably take his bonus anyway, but at least he won't get the trigger off of it, and he'll get one fewer attack as a result of being stunned, right? Stunned is pseudo-slowed. The way models are often designed nowadays in Weird design philosophy, it feels like stunned is like kind of slow but better, since everyone wants to have a very meaningful bonus action. So with all that in mind, I think having a botanist down here with someone to draw up a scheme for them, and then maybe we plan for Casey Jones to go right here. We want Irina to start in the concealing so she can get her push, and then maybe we do something like this to start instead. we're going to kind of signal we plan to go up this way, but I think that's okay. Our initial plan is to make sure we are within 1 here. Yep. Well, we can position a little closer because our plan is to fly with me with Sovereign. That gives like a nice bubble of placement for him and Anya. And then Winston gets to follow up with a dirigible right after. So I think this is a fine general setup for deployment. I think it is right to probably try and push around top. There's a couple models on his squad that I can kill if I'm willing to commit to it pretty easily, but they are support pieces that he is unlikely, based on his reputation and what I've seen of his play, to overextend. If the lawyer and the scribe stay nice and back, I'm not going to be able to do much there. The changeling can't be charged. Like, I have some ways around that with leaps onwards, with Casey getting like a 4-inch push by doing trouble ahead and then his other moves. So like there are ways to make all that happen. Really, the core of his list is that he has these 3 models and some good support in the ability to take the stand on 3 different models into like a variety of toolbox pieces, including a way to ignore armor 2, including a way to ignore enemy only effects, and including all of the support pieces that he in the like low end of the Mimic League keyword, which has gotten that rework that has made it very versatile and very powerful. So overall, I am not really looking forward to this game as much as I would like to. So we're gonna just give it our best shot. We're gonna try and learn some things. The one thing I want to try and do as a goal is Grog Dog, Michael, I'm not sure which is the correct pronunciation, mentioned something that I think is very interesting, which is you want to, if possible, position your models that Lucius can kill trivially or with like a single AP in such a way that he cannot get to them and be in secret passage range. So that means you need to be like 3 and a smidge away from blocking terrain. That's like an interesting challenge that I think I can have fun with for myself. Like, okay, let's keep our models that we are most concerned about for that, which are Winston. Winston has stones at least, but the botanists and Winston once we run out of stones, which we probably will, and the damned once it's pinged itself once or twice. Let's make sure to keep them all into those sort of more restrictive positions, which is part of the reason why slamming this is important, because like if I don't slam that, there is like nowhere up here. Like there are very few places that Lucius can be forced to charge to up here, where if he pops up here and then he charges 5 because he's not slow. He's still reasonable movement, and I'm going to double check that he's not 6. No, he's movement 5. Okay, at least that is correct. He can end up so many places here. So taking away his passage option there is going to be important. I have 2 routes to doing that. I think the correct one is actually going to be the botanist to go onward walk slam to position it down there, and for the damned to fuel that botanist with scheme to leap, and then to make sure that it to interact leap focus. I'm just going to be ceding a lot of ground to my opponent until I get an opportunity, and that's extremely bad because you really want to engage the Pale Rider as soon as possible. So my other option is simply to say, all right, I think I can kill the Pale Rider. What does it require? It requires Anya and a second model getting to it. Well, it's corner. So unless he pushes it forward 14 inches and takes a focus, right? If he goes to, he says, okay, I'm going to go to here so I have cover against shooting, and I'm behind this tree from some angles, and I take a focus. So I'm like, okay, well, if that's the very first thing he does, I'm still like trying to wait till he activates the Steward, for example. So I have to dirtle. And then at some point, if he has activated this steward, he's gotten time to set up all his legalese stuff. The response I want to make at that point is to go, okay, well, I will place within 4. Well, fly 7. I'll, bring Anya along. And then I will charge him and try to get 6 damage in. He's only got, he can reduce it by 2 potentially. But with Anya here, between move 6, she can like kind of charge 14-ish inches. So she can get to him with the right card, and then she can finish him off. But my opponent is never doing this, I don't think. I do think regardless, it is right to move Anya up to here if I'm forced to go earlier with Sovereign. Maybe not right there, because I certainly don't want to... This is the problem. I would like to be in cover, but as soon as I put her into cover, right, from shooting, it does pretty substantially reduce her ability to threaten anything else. So maybe the move is actually to move Casey up and then to drop some geodes into a position where they will provide cover. That's something to think about. Certainly cover is the best tool I have against the Pale Riders shooting. So we'll go from there. Anyway, I'm getting myself interested in how this game will turn out. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to win, which is a bad place to be. I don't think it's going to be super fun, but my opponent is good, and I'm going to try and focus on what I can learn. And I've set myself a little challenge of like, hey, make it costly to do secret passage charge, right? You can't secret passage charge secret passage. That's the goal. So let's see how that works out. All right. Thank you all for checking in. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you after the game.